This is my son Zakaria. And I want him to grow up in a world where being okay with your faith is okay. By starting a podcast in 2017 of two very normal Muslim guys talking about very normal things.
Right. Never heard of a curry?
Freshly Grounded has made thousands of people realize that there are many other people like them in the world. Normal young Muslims who want to be successful in this world and the next.
Freshly Grounded, let's make some noise.
But our goals are even bigger. We want to do things like be the biggest company in the world so we can provide people with jobs without sacrificing their morals or the income that they deserve. Or provide scholarships to people who want to become doctors or scientists or astronauts, or just continue providing clean, relatable content for people to consume. All of those things require us to grow. Now, alongside many other things, with a recent realization that I'm losing my hair, we want to reach these huge goals sooner rather than later. More subscribers equals more eyes equals more of a chance for us to reach these huge goals. There's roughly 87 days left until Ramadan, and we have a mission to reach 100,000 subscribers before then. Just go to this link and enter your name and email. That's it. You'll be sent a custom referral code that you can send out to your friends and family, and that referral link will point to the Freshly Grounded subscribe button. And the person with the very top referral link will win Apple AirPods Pro. Now will you please go and help Zakaria become an astronaut? Emkwan is a tech blogger based in the UAE with over 120,000 subscribers. He is known for his hands-on reviews of the latest phones and computers and is absolutely obsessed with watches. He's someone we've wanted on Freshly Grounded for a while now, so enjoy this one and welcome to episode 216 of Freshly Grounded.
And welcome to Freshly Grounded, the brand new podcast.
Well, it's not exactly brand new anymore, is it?
Welcome to Freshly Grounded, the podcast.
That's better.
Created by best friends Faisal and Sam.
Huh?
I said welcome to Freshly Grounded.
After that bit.
Created by
After that bit.
best friends Faisal and Sam.
Really?
Okay, we're on. Assalamu alaikum, Emkwan.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Faisal. It's nice to see you and nice to talk to you finally, man.
I know, finally, because we've actually been virtual acquaintances for a while, haven't we? You've always actually shown so much love to both me personally when I was trying to grow my own channel, and then also with Freshly Grounded. So I really appreciate the love that you've always been giving to us.
No, thank you for your content as well. It's helped keep me occupied. You know, I'm slowly trying to get back into the gym routine. So when it comes to cardio, like podcasts, Freshly Grounded, 20-30 minutes can just fly by. So good job on,
that means a lot.
On what you've been doing, man. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. All right, let's jump into a discussion that I wanna ask you about so desperately since I've known we're having you on, and that's you and I are both wearing glasses right now, but the Google glasses. Before delving into anything else, let's just get straight into it. You tried out the Google glasses, and you were living with them for but this was years ago. So you were living with them for a day or two to try them out, and you documented.
I had them actually longer. No, I had it for about just under a week actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it was under a week, I think. Yeah.
So what happened in the end with the Google glasses? They were huge. I remember when they were first announced years ago. We were thinking in 5 years' time we're all going to be wearing them, and you're going to be walking around and you can just do everything and anything with your eyes.
I don't know. I mean, it was a weird experience, from the wearer's perspective, it was incredibly weird because there was a bit of adjustment that you needed to get through, because it's a really small part that fits over your kind of vision or field of view rather. And, and it's weird trying to control it, because you can control it with your eye movement going up and down.
When
and
you say
it was
what are you
grayscale.
controlling?
So there are options basically. It's so weird. Go check the video out, because that might give some perspective. Because I think in that video, if I remember correctly, I actually had a screenshot of what I was seeing at the same time. So it's kind of cool. But basically, if you wanted to go up, you would just do something with your eyeball to kind of scroll up, and it would scroll down as well. That was the option there. I can't remember if it also had something that you could swipe across. I think there was an element of swiping there as well. But look, I mean, from a concept perspective, just using it for the day was a really strange experience because I remember on the first day getting kind of really strong headaches. And I think that's to do with the fact that perhaps the eye coordination, trying to control the whole thing. But then I think later on, it was also to do with perhaps, I don't know, the antennas or the way that they were positioned. You'd feel really warm and hot on one side where the frame was and stuff like that. So it was a weird experience. Incredibly cool at that time. I remember wearing them going out and about. I was at the petrol station and there was a nice Emirati guy who came over and he looked at them and he said, what is this? Is this the Google Glass? I was like, yeah, it is. He says, please, I want these. Where can I get them from? I was like, they're not available. If I could sell them to you, I would do. But he was adamant. He wanted to buy them there and then. He was like, look, I've got the money. You tell me the price. Let's do, you have box papers. I was like, look, I can't give this to you. It's one of those things. So from that perspective, at least here in the Middle East, where technology uptake tends to be quite, people are quite keen on trying new things. I was surprised, I thought a lot of people took quite nicely to it. But I think they had issues in other parts of the world, in the US, in Europe. It was kind of associated with being a creep. Some guys got he might be filming everything, even though nowadays we're practically all filming it. So I don't know, but I mean, if rumors are to be believed, let's watch this space next year. Let's see what another fruit company might come up with. So let's see if there's any truth.
Okay, fine. But I was confused for a second. I was thinking, I should be looking in the marketplace. Okay, so but what is it that was the? So are they not working on it anymore, Google, at all?
My understanding is I think they might have shelved that particular project. There were rumors that they were going to bring back something else, but in that current state and form, I think it's on hold for a while.
Man, it's weird because I remember hearing about it for the first time and thinking that is so cool and it's obviously the way forward. Where obviously wearable tech is huge right now, but wearing glasses just seems like it makes so much sense. So people who would not need glasses to improve their vision, they could use them, and people who did need glasses could probably use them and then have a prescription lens inside it as well, so it's an all-in-one. And then the ability to, for example, I don't know, how the Prius has a hologram come up as the speed limit and stuff like that.
You get that in a lot of modern cars as well, where you get the basic stats, the navigation cues in front of you. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if, in another year, 2 years time, we'll see something like this. We saw Snapchat do something not similar, but around the same lines with the spectacles. Who else?
What did they do, by the way? I wasn't aware of what they were. I heard about.
So Snapchat had a pair of glasses that you would literally press a button. There were small cameras that would record the point of view. What was cool about it was when you went into the Snapchat app, it was recording almost like a 360. So you could kind of move your, smartphone around in different angles to actually, it felt like you were there as well. Obviously it wasn't as advanced as the Google glasses, but it was something that I think, we are going to see much more wearable tech in the next year to 2 years, especially with what's going on now. I think it's a given at some point, wearable tech in some shape, way or form is going to be much more common. I mean, just look at us. Most of us have the Apple Watch nowadays. There was a time when smartwatches, was a bit clunky and this, that, the other. In a couple of years, we went from that to something that, for me at least, lasts 2 days on a single charge. I think we're gonna get much more of that. Yeah,
I didn't consider how I didn't consider the creepy aspect of having glasses that can record, but that now makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm thinking that if they were to create something that did basically what the idea was for the Google glasses, but just without a camera, then it seems to make sense. Because you're right, it is very weird. Imagine if everybody's wearing these glasses.
Yeah.
You don't know who's filming you, who's taking pictures. Yeah, it's very, very weird.
But I think what happened was when, I don't know what year that was, perhaps 2015, 2014, perhaps, maybe even earlier than that. I think
ahead of their time.
Where we've come from there to now is that everybody knows everybody's filming everything now. So I think there's also a paradigm shift in the sense that I don't think people are going to be creeped out as much if something like that was to come out. I think having like a light or something like that, because on the spectacles from Snapchat, you had a light sort of whizzing, so you knew it was being filmed. I mean, I can see them doing something like that and coming out with, version 2 or whatever it's going to be, version 1. I think we're past that now. Everyone's recording everybody else,
Yeah, you're right.
So it's the culture has shifted a lot since then. Yeah.
How much of you thinks about being someone who's obviously so like into tech, which anybody who hasn't yet, if you was to see Emkwan's YouTube channel, just full of tech and like very clean looking, like exactly what you'd expect to see along with it. Beautiful videos, and like even when you like it's lovely like scrolling through your channel feed and just seeing like very clean thumbnails, which is obviously again. I'm
not sure about clean thumbnails, man.
You do
because I've been.
nice...
No, I mean, I've been.
Man.
There's kind of very similar thumbnails in terms of the shocked face. It works as clickbait on YouTube, so there is a bit of that. But yeah.
But
I take it as a
someone who's
compliment.
obviously a proponent of tech, do you ever reflect on the disadvantages of them, or not really, especially being a dad as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm in a really weird place. I mean, before this, we had a brief discussion about this as well. Lockdown for me, plus being a father, plus being an ex-vlogger, and also being someone who comes from a family, like my father is a Hakim, pretty well renowned in the in the UK in terms of traditional herbal medicine. Growing up with that experience now, there are things that I took for granted at that time when I was younger that I'm reflecting on much more now. I think there's, I mean, across the board, there seems to be like an over dependence, over fascination of technology and forgetting that technology is ultimately a tool.
Yeah.
So it happens in my observation in two senses. One is very difficult for me because part of what I do on YouTube is promote products. I cover technology, I cover lifestyle. Within lifestyle, there's luxury watches, there's cars, those elements. But when it comes to technology, what I found is that you have to be really careful because, every sort of second, third week, there's a new device, there's a new tech item that's out there. If somebody is subscribed to the channel, or someone is following you on social media, gets to grips with your personality and then follows you based on that, they can be sucked in quite easily to like, oh, I've got to get this, I've got to get this, I've got to get this, literally all the time, Q4 is horrendous for this because it feels like there's a new smartphone every week. There feels like there's a new pair of headphones, Apple Watch, this watch, that watch. So I think, I'm not going to say it makes me lose sleep at night, but one of the observations that I've made is that I think generally we need to be a bit more mindful of two things. Number one, the over dependency of buying new tech, because even if you look at smartphones now, this version, let's say the latest iPhone 12 Pro Max, hasn't really changed substantially from, let's say, the iPhone, 11 Pro Max. And I think more and more consumers are getting into this now. They're questioning this a lot more. They're saying that, oh, do I really need an upgrade? That's one element of it. The need to kind of be self-disciplined and say, do I actually need this piece of tech? Do I need this for my life and what I need to do with it as a tool, which is very important. Ultimately, all of this tech we have around us is or should be used as a tool. So that's one element of it. And I guess that kind of veers towards consumerism and, how much are we consuming? One of the things which I've observed as a Westerner living in a predominantly Muslim, country in this part of the world, the Middle East, the GCC, is that unlike in the UK, which is where I was born and raised, where people did have an element of, do I need this piece of tech? Is it worth it? Can I afford it? To a point here where like people have 4 or 5 phones. They have like 2, 3 Apple Watches. They have like, headphones left, right, and center.
Yeah, it's very normal when
And-
you're there and you go to like the cafes and you just see like a guy
It's
like
just
sit
everyone.
down and like just gets all of his phones out, puts them on the table before they even and he gets his AirPods, like his latest AirPods out.
Exactly.
It's so normal to see that, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's a really strange kind of situation, and I do think about it as a Muslim as well. Obviously, like the deen is important for me. That's primarily the be all and end all. But there are sometimes times where I do question this. I do wonder what else I can do as a content creator that focuses around technology and lifestyle and making genuine suggestions. I'm in this unique situation where I don't need to live off this money because this isn't my 9 to 5. I have, other interests. This is actually a pure hobby for me that I do part-time in my downtime. I joke with people. I say, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be doing something a lot crazier. So for me, this is a creative outlet. And also, I've always been into kind of taking things apart and, working with things. So I don't have the pressures of having to recommend everything. In fact, it's quite interesting. There's a corner in the room where I'm in at the moment where there's tons and tons of products that have been sent through that I don't feel is good enough for me to review, or there are some other clauses or catches to it which I don't feel comfortable with. A brand might be like, no, we only want you to promote it like this. I'm like, look, it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? So, I'm thinking of how I can do more content that focuses around sustainable use of technology. So there's one element which we've just spoken about now, which is an over consumerism of wanting the latest and the newest of everything. But then the second thing, and this is something that troubles me now because I'm observing this with people around me, and I'm talking about my family. I've got a 6-year-old son. I have got a 3-year-old daughter. I see other people talking about this. Family friends are reaching out to me and saying, Emkwan, like, any advice on, like, we're really concerned about how much time people are spending on devices. But also something that keeps ringing at the back of my head when I was younger, when I was a teenager, first getting my Nokia, I don't know what it was, I don't know, 8110 or something like that. One of those really cool ones that you'd save up for and literally have snakes or one of a game. And my dad used to sort of tell me, look, what are you doing with this? Like, well, what's that time element? Are you doing business? Are you doing this or doing that? So that rings true for me as well. I think the second part of this discussion is, like, what are we doing with our technology devices? And again, the observation that I can make being as someone who's a Westerner here in this part of the world, like, you can go to a cafe, you can go to a restaurant and see, 4 or 5 people of the same family sat down. Every single one of them are using their devices.
Yeah, that's
there's no interaction going on. And we're talking about, a majority of the viewership or listenership with your podcast is going to be from a Muslim background. So, this, like, I see this very common amongst Muslims, for example. I see it very, very often amongst Arabs here. It's strange for me because my wife is completely opposite to what I am in terms of technology. She doesn't use social media very much. She doesn't use her phone very much. So there's been this amazing balance between us in terms of our relationship. She'll remind me, hey, like, what are you doing? Do you really need to be scrolling through X, Y, Z? The other thing for me was when I was younger, there was this weird moment where I remember my son, probably about 2 or 3 years old, and he said to me, like, he was trying to get my attention for something. And, like, I don't know, there was nothing strange that happened. It wasn't like we dropped something off a table or something like that. It was like a penny drop for me. And I realized, like, what am I doing? Like, when I looked at the screen and I looked at my son, I was like, this is not necessary. So I started changing things around. I know, man.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I've been reading books. There's a really good book, Digital Minimalism by, who is it? I actually recommended it today to someone. Let me find it. Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport.
Oh, okay. Cal Newport also wrote. What other book did I've read a Cal Newport. I've read a Cal Newport book, but not that one.
Yeah, I think this is one of the newer ones. It's a powerful book. It's an incredibly powerful book that first of all addresses the situation, and then has some recommendations about how you can manage this. I mean, there's just so much. There's like, if you think about recent documentaries on Netflix, like
So Good They Can't Ignore You. Sorry.
Yeah.
So Good
I haven't
They
read
Can't
that.
Ignore You, is it?
I haven't read
Kareem's
that.
a big proponent of that book.
Okay.
I before we carry on, because I'm interested in everything that you're saying, but there's so much to deconstruct that I want to butt you in, which is one of the things that I'm very good at doing, which is something that you shouldn't be good at doing when you're a podcaster.
No. I think
you.
that's how you get a discussion. Yeah.
So to your first point, I really do agree with you on this idea that the whole consumerism part of like phones specifically has really changed, because I would consider myself a person who wants like the latest tech and stuff like that. And when I was younger in school, it would be really like I would really want to have the latest iPhone, right? So every September, the new iPhone would come out, and I wouldn't always get it, obviously, but you would really, at that point, do anything to get the latest phone. And also, I think there was like drastic differences in the phones as well at that point.
I think earlier on, yeah.
Now that I'm older and I can probably afford to upgrade my phone if I want to, I'm still on the iPhone X. It's even got a crack on it right now. And I bought the iPhone X. So I've got the iPhone X, and I never think to myself that this doesn't do what I need it to do. And so I think as a society, I think we're all becoming a bit more like that. When the new iPhone comes out now, it's becoming less and less like, oh, I need the new iPhone. And it's becoming more like, because I can get all the same apps and all of that kind of stuff, it does everything I need to do. I was recently thinking about upgrading this, and I thought, why am I upgrading it? This works perfectly. It's not slowing down. And I may upgrade it soon, but I'm like 3 or 4 iPhones behind at this point. And if you told a younger Faisal that he's 3 or 4 iPhones behind, I would never have believed you. And even then, let me tell you something crazy, Emkwan, yeah? This phone, I bought it when the iPhone... when the iPhone, what was after iPhone X? Was it XS?
We had the iPhone 10R, the 10S. Yeah.
Yeah, but before that was just the X. Or just
No,
the
so
10,
we had so this one that you have is the iPhone 10. They don't like calling it. Apple doesn't like it being called X. It was supposed to be 10. So iPhone 10.
I thought it was
then
released as X.
Well, it as in the Roman numeral 10.
Oh, but they call
Because
it.
I remember
they never called it the X.
They've never officially called it the X. In fact, they get upset because I remember this because because I work with Apple as well. So at one of the events that we had where there was like a 1-to-1, I kept calling it the iPhone X. And like one of the nice Apple kind of guys there, you could see him like churning in his thing. And he told me, he said, look, it's the iPhone 10, So it's, I think after that was the iPhone 10s. And then we had the iPhone 10R. I'm trying to remember,
because I used to work there at retail, right? And I'm trying to remember if I was there when the iPhone 10 was out or not. And I can't remember now.
Probably earlier than that.
Maybe earlier than that, because
I've been watching your vlogs for a while, and yeah.
I don't know, but anyway. So what's interesting about this story is that I bought the iPhone 10 the day that the next iPhone came out. So I went from being a person who would like want to get the latest phone to purposely waiting for the new one to come out so that I can get the old one, because it dropped in price so much, and they also was discontinuing this one. So this one's got discontinued like 60 days after the new one came out. Very quickly they discontinued it. So I think the day or the next day bought this, and even the person on the phone was confused because they were like, the new one's just come out, and I was like, yeah, I want the old one. Because it was almost, I remember when they released it, it was almost exactly the same. So it's very, very weird that we've gone from people who would want that to being content with it. I think that's such a beautiful part of it.
Yeah, it is. But I think there's an interesting point there, which is that I think we've reached a plateau when it comes to mobile devices, and this is across the board, not only for iPhone. And what I notice is, especially as somebody that does reviews, there'll always be somebody that leaves a comment that says, "Oh, iPhone's not innovating anymore." Well, it's kind of true for the Android, smartphones as well. You look at what Samsung is doing now. If you look at the S21 Ultra, I mean, yes, it's improved over the S20 Ultra, but fundamentally it's still kind of the same, just a bit more tuned up, a bit more sort of, cleaned around the edges, basically. If you look at the Huawei products, they do exactly the same now. The changes that used to happen when, I guess you're talking about when we were slightly younger, they were drastic. I mean, it went from literally, a touch screen that would have a slight lag to it to something that looked amazing, retina display, something like, with the marketing jargon. So, yeah.
I think also there's another element to it, which is that back then, phones were the most popular tech, and having a phone that did everything was very important. And now what's more popular is actually, I suppose, the software over the hardware in terms of phones. So we're talking like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm speaking to someone who I shouldn't be in any way like speaking like I know more of tech then. But with phones, it seems like what's more important now is what's inside the phone, the software, the apps, and how the apps function. And so as long as you can manage with the apps, it seems like it's not as important with the hardware. Whereas now we've moved on to technology. What's more popular in technology seems to be, like you mentioned, wearables. And then secondly, I don't know if this is just me because I'm getting older and now the people who I follow are like my age and stuff, but it seems now that what's really popular is technology in cars, as opposed to like 10 years ago when we were like 18, 17. It seemed like back then, but then I don't know if that's because when you're 16, 17, you're not really driving.
Yeah, and I think, car technology has changed. Like drastically. If you look at, modern Tesla and how much tech, forget about what's under the bonnet, but just generally the tech that's in there at face value is considerably more than what it used to be 5 years ago, even 4 years ago. I think car tech has improved and it's coming along much faster in some ways. But you're right as well in many respects. I guess we've plateaued across the board, even when it comes to hardware now. Look at all of the devices. I joke about this in my reviews as well. I say they all look the same. If you look at the front of a device, it's very difficult to know whether it's a Samsung, whether it's a Huawei device, whether it's a Xiaomi device, whether it's a Realme device, whether it's an iPhone device. iPhone still has that notch. So I guess from a branding perspective, they're still standing out. It's even the back of the cameras now. It's like either 3 camera lenses or 4 camera lenses, so we're still getting to the same look. You still got what, 2 camera lenses? Yeah.
How appalling.
We got 3 now over here,
That's mad.
Where's check this one out though. This is the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Look at that. That looks like something.
Oh, no way.
Look
That's
at that.
Mad.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Are they all like different lenses and stuff?
They are. This one is actually a laser focus or a laser autofocus, and then you've got like a optical zoom, macro zoom, normal. So it's one of those things.
You know what I don't like about Android phones, being an Apple like snub, is you can tell when someone's an Android with the emojis that they like post on their they put up an Instagram story and then they're like wave emojis like so B-tech compared to like what we're used to. It feels like that, but I'm just like being an absolute like Apple snob like.
You are. Wait till the Android guys completely flood the comments.
Yeah. It's gonna be like so disliked. Like our emojis are your cameras suck.
Unsubscribe.
Yeah, exactly. But bro, speaking about car tech, so Rushi, who is the guy, he runs Rush Athletics. When he got his Tesla, he drove down to our studio and we were doing some content, right? And I was shocked. I am like unaware of everything that's going on in car tech, right? And so this may be really old news, but for me, this was so substantial. He said that if he wants to update his car, like they will release an update and he can buy it and they like install it in his car on the cloud. Like he can update, like for example, if he wants to have if he wants to have the function where an example, this isn't the actual function, right? But like if he wants to have a function where, for example, the car locks or unlocks by itself because it senses you, I don't know, something like that, right? Like before you would think that's like a hardware thing, but if he just has to pay for that that function and it gets
Little supper.
unlocked. It's now there. He's
man.
the software in his car updates just like the software in your phone updates overnight when it's charging.
Exactly.
The software in the car updates, and then you can like do all these, like the car can if you got like a non-self-driving car, you can buy a non-self-driving car and then later like buy that package
Upgrade it.
and then your car is mad. That's insane.
It's remarkable. It is, isn't it? It's absolutely remarkable. I mean, like,
I'm still driving.
I mean, this is the thing about like. I mean, like, I've been contemplating getting a Tesla. There's an agency here that reached out to me that manages Porsche, and they've got, you know, one of the electric cars here. They were trying to like, oh, you know, would you be interested in buying one, and then, you know, we can work something out in terms of like some kind of sponsorship or whatever. My situation here in the Middle East is I want to get one of these electric cars, but like it's still cheaper. Like petrol here is just so cheap. And the other thing for me, like as someone that, you know, uses technology, is that I don't know, it's weird. Like as I've got older as well, there's some things that I don't want to use technology with. One of them is a car. Like I want to I want to feel the engine, you know, smell the gas. You know, there are a few elements like that I still get excited about, which you don't necessarily get with an electric car, as cool as they are.
I can't think of many things that I wouldn't want to use technology with. I do know that I'm starting to implement the phone thing that you said rings a bell. Even I know we're kind of tracking the conversation back, but one thing I've started implementing is leaving my phone. So I've tried to create this system where at 7 p.m. every day, I'm failing most days, but I'm persevering because I know that it's not black and white. You can't go 0 to 100. But the system that I've set is there's a phone charger for my phone in the kitchen, and the plan is that every day at 7 p.m. I put my phone on charge in the kitchen, and I don't and then I don't use my phone until the next day, and I allow myself to use my phone for phone calls and texts because that's what a phone's meant to be used for, right? I allow myself to answer phone calls, send texts and receive texts, which you realize very quickly that you don't actually do that often. Like 99% of the stuff you do on your phone is not actually like texting and calling. So I allow myself to do that, but the condition is that it has to stay on the wire, so the phone has to be connected to the wall, and that I'm standing, I'm in the kitchen, you get very uncomfortable, you can't, you won't scroll for long. So it's the days that I do implement it, it's been working, and I kind of feel like it's freeing me a bit. And the thing that I've noticed with the people around me as well is that people are starting to resent their phones a bit because of it being like shackled to them.
Look, the first thing that I would recommend, and this is something as someone who's a proponent of technology, but also, I'm not going to say a victim of it, but like there was a point, you know, I've been married for about 10 years. There's a point at which technology was causing serious issues in my relationship, not only in terms of, you know, my relationship with my wife, but also with my son at that time. One of the things was just start off, and this for me, it feels absolutely normal because I've been doing it for 3 years now. But for some people, it's going to be fundamental, which is don't sleep in the same room as your mobile phone. Just don't sleep in the same room as your mobile phone. I guarantee you that the first 3 days will be difficult, but after that, you will sleep better. You will not get disturbed in the middle of the night. Like, it's so strange because every time, like, I'm flying somewhere before COVID, you know, I'd have the phone in my hotel room. I kid you not, you know, even a couple of seconds before the SMS would come in or a message would come in, you know, you kind of wake up and then you see it buzz. It's like it's the weirdest experience. And I remember speaking to a couple of doctors about this, and I spoke to my dad about this as well. And he said to me, it's not very unusual because your body becomes so sensitive to these things that you will pick up on certain, you know, things that are coming in essentially. Do you remember when we used to have the older Nokia phones?
The waves.
The waves, the older Nokia phones, you'd have it next to, let's say, a computer device, and you'd hear that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? It's almost exactly the same thing that happens. So like people, and bro, even now, this would happen to me where, because I don't sleep with my phone, my wife doesn't sleep with there are no phones in our bedroom. It's mamnu, you know, it's not allowed. And what will happen is if there is a change to that, you know, maybe the kids are ill, I'm sleeping outside or whatever. If the phone is in the room, I kid you not, there can be a tweet, there can be like a like, there can be like an Instagram DM or something like that. I will almost instantly wake up. So I think the first thing that you've got to try and do is just make sure that you're not sleeping in the same room as the device. And then companies like Apple, companies like, Samsung, Huawei as well, to some extent, are encouraging people to try and minimize their use of technology at least half an hour before you go to sleep. It makes a fundamental difference. Like, just chill, talk to your partner, drink some hot chocolate. I don't know, like read some adhkar, like it's so fundamental. Like even the Quran, like I removed the Quran app from my iPhone because I felt like it's almost an excuse to kind of like disrespect the Quran, in my view. I mean, again, I know it's permissible and everything, but I was finding that I'm in the middle of the middle of Surah Al-Baqarah, and suddenly there's like a Clubhouse notification, and you're like, oh, swipe up, but automatically goes through.
Yeah, you're like switching apps. I found that as well. Yeah. Like you're switching apps and you're thinking, like I shouldn't really be switching. I hear what you're saying, man. I was going to say, it kind of relates to what we're talking about. And we're discussing kind of the sides of technology that can become more wholesome. And you mentioned sustainable tech. What is sustainable tech, and how does it relate to what we're discussing?
So look, the first thing when it comes to sustainable tech is that, you look at technology, coming back to the 2 points. One is in terms of at the point of where you're deciding, do you need a piece of tech? At that point, at that decision, it's really simple. It's about asking yourself whether or not you need that tool for the purpose that you intend to use that tool. I mean, that's something that we have to ask ourselves. The benefits of that are that if you don't need it, you'll save money. It's as simple as that. That's really the first point at which you have to start asking yourself, do I need this particular piece of tech? When the new iPhone gets announced, when the new whatever it is gets announced, at that point when it's quite easy to be on social media, see the hashtag, see everybody getting all hype about this particular product, asking yourself, do I actually need that? What am I going to purchase that for? Now, there've been a bunch of brand new Sony DSLRs that have been announced, mirrorless cameras, for example. Each one of those, like, both me and you will be like, oh yeah, we kind of need that. It'd be nice to have that. Yeah, I can see myself doing something with that. But do you really need that? I mean, I spent majority of, I don't know what I'm on now, like 130,000 subscribers on YouTube. I spent probably 70 to 80,000 subscribers filming with, I kid you not, a point and shoot Canon G7X Mark II.
Bro, that G7X, I might have even got it recommended from watching your vlogs, but we was filming Freshly Grounded on a G7X, even in this studio, bro. Like, we've gone for like 4 studios, and we was filming on a G7X, right? And for like the first 100 episodes, or maybe even 150 episodes, it was a G7X, not even on a tripod, it was on a light stand. So it was like always bent. So like you see the episodes are so funny because first of all, you'd notice that every 15 minutes, the episode goes black for like a couple seconds because that's me getting up, turning it back on. And boom, I was doing it for like 150 episodes. And then the other thing was because it wasn't on a tripod, it was on a light stand. In post, I would like zoom in and then make it level. But sometimes I would forget and the whole episode's bent. So if you go back on some episodes, it's so funny. The whole thing was, so I'm with you, man. Like when you said sustainable tech, I didn't realize that what you meant. Yeah, I've got it in my room as well. When you said sustainable tech, I didn't know that what you meant was we have to be better at sustaining our tech. I thought, because I'm with you on that, man. I thought you meant that companies need to do, or companies are doing a better job now at creating tech that works with people for like on like a longevity kind of basis. But you're right. If you're saying we should sustain.
Yeah, I think that's also happening. I mean, that is certainly happening as well. I have a bit of a theory about this as well, and I don't know if this is right. I'm not sure, coming back to that earlier point that we made about whether or not smartphones have reached a plateau. I think there is an element of that. I mean, there's a lot of research out there that talks about, chips, they talk about, the microprocessors in mobile devices and technology devices reaching a plateau, So maybe there is an element of that, but I think there is also another point, which is more the big players. Look at what Apple have done this year with the charging brick. Look at what Samsung have done. They followed up with that. I guarantee you, a couple of other companies will do the same, because there is now this kind of thing about, the impact of technology on the environment. There is the impact of having a brand new device every even year now, and what that has as an impact for these bigger corporations on certain taxes, on certain levies, on their environmental footprint. So I think we're going to see companies do more of that. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing, not necessarily immediately, but perhaps 5 to 10 years down the line, even modular style smartphones. I mean, Google purchased, there was a company which I forgot the name of, but Google did purchase this company that were producing modular. I don't know if you remember, they had a device, and like the idea was that you could slip out the camera module and put like a newer one in there. You could slip out the RAM and put a new one in there.
That sounds so interesting. Wow.
So I wouldn't be surprised if 5 to 10 years we might see an element of that. So you'd get a base, so to speak, and you might get like a display or whatever, and then you just slip it out. So if you need extra RAM, purchase extra RAM. If you need 4 lenses as opposed to like 3 lenses. But I mean, look, fundamentally, the thing about sustainable technology is, number one, it's to do with us. It's to do with like self-control from a human perspective. Number one, do we need this brand new device as a tool? And then number two, and this is the hardest part is figuring out for ourselves what we're doing with this tech once we have it. Especially with mobile devices. How much time are we spending on social networking sites when we told ourselves and told our partners that we're going to purchase this brand new iPad or brand new smartphone for work,
for business, for studies.
For business or studies or whatever. And again, you see this in the software side. Apple, for example, have, what's the feature in the settings where they'll show you your time spent on your device? Screen time.
Screen time, yeah.
They call it screen time. Android has that now as well. Bro, I mean, it's shocking. Most people don't even know that's available there. If you activate that, use that for 3 to 5 days, check it. Look at the apps that you're using. It will blow your mind off. I mean, I'm still using my smartphone for about 7 to 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bro. I got a notification like 2 days ago saying that my screen time this week was like 25% or 30% higher than last week. I was thinking, what was I doing this week that was more screen time? Man, it's so true, man. There was a point that you had just raised that I was gonna follow up on, and I can't remember what it was. It was you were saying about the modular devices, and then after that.
About the more smartphone companies that like removing bricks.
I can't quite remember, but I suppose cloud based software, again talking about software rather than hardware, has really enabled us to rely on our devices and our hardware more often as well, because one of the biggest reasons I would want to upgrade my phone would be because of storage. I often like this phone is a 64 gig, which I don't know if they even exist, or if they do, they're probably like the lowest, right? Whereas before 64 was quite a high one. They used to do 16, 32, 64, and then eventually they released 128. Now there's like 256 on the phones, and so
512, bro, 512.
Really?
Actually, no. I think. What is it? I think it might be even 1 terabyte, bro.
No, definitely not on iPhones. Surely.
Okay, 512 is the maximum. 512.
I didn't even know they did 512. To be honest, I think my laptop might be 512. That's just.
I have 1 terabyte on the iPad though.
Really?
Yeah.
My laptop's 500. Can you believe that? And I've got my laptop is kitted out as well. Wow. Okay, so anyway, that would have been the thing. But now, because of cloud-based, everything going on the cloud and being so secure and stuff as well, you can back up your content, or you can use, even when you use stuff like Google Docs for your documents or Sheets, even all these little things allow your device to, like you said, just become a base rather than become something that actually needs to actually store anything. It's to a point now where if your phone got stolen or broken, you would actually lose nothing, because everything is cloud-based, and it only takes a few clicks of a button to set all of that kind of stuff up. So it's really interesting, man. When we were discussing, we were having a conversation off air, I think yesterday, we kind of touched on the fact that and I mentioned it in the intro of this episode as well, that you're absolutely obsessed with watches. And I suppose watches is one of the elements that goes slightly away from tech. While there are wearable watches, and you said yourself you wear the Apple Watch right now, a lot of watches don't rely on technology, and there's still a lot of companies who base their kind of like whole luxuriness off of the fact that it's not technology, and it's these like classic timepieces. So what's the watch that you wear the most frequently?
So this is gonna sound odd, I guess. This used to be odd like maybe even a year ago, but it isn't so odd now because I've seen other people do this. I'm one of those people that wears actually 2 watches. So I've got my Apple Watch on one.
I wear and I have an Apple Watch. I love my Apple Watch.
You never charge your Apple Watch. I always see like in your vlogs, like you used to have bro, you never charge it. Like
it's true.
You need a new Apple Watch,
you know me
right?
so well. I'd never charge my Apple Watch. I don't wear it because it's always not charged.
I know. Well, you need to get a mechanical watch. And this is one of the reasons why I love mechanical watches, because like for me as a techie, right? This is pure tech. There is no battery in here. It works off physics. Like years and years ago, I've been into watches for a long time. And I think when I came out to the UAE, it's just perhaps the culture here as well. People can wear certain things without it being seen as too extravagant. In the UK, we still have this kind of weird association with people wearing high-end watches, and it's like, oh, israf or whatever. And I guess some people would argue it might be that. But I fell in love with watches because it was like the first time somebody told me that a mechanical watch doesn't have a battery inside there. And I was like,
so
what?
When you say it works off of physics, you're going to have to break that down to me.
So, okay, let's take,
what is that?
This is a Rolex Datejust 41. Okay. So this watch it's a modern watch, but inside here, there is a small mechanism, and in there is something called a rotor. And basically every time, like, you move your wrist or you're just doing normal stuff, it is winding itself up automatically. And it has a power reserve on this particular watch of about 3 days. So that means if I take this off and put it down and don't touch it for 3 days, the power reserve will run out, and therefore the time. But while I have it on, it's still going to be running. This thing is assembled by hand.
Wow.
It's, yes, machined by machines, okay? But the accuracy of this is roughly plus or minus 2 seconds a day. For me, this is like original tech. And the thing is, they make these watches today, but this is based off designs that are hundreds of years old. Like there were people that were actually making these movements to go into watches that would tell the time. Like for me, from a tech perspective, it's just mind-boggling. This thing needs charging at least twice a day.
Yeah.
This thing will need servicing perhaps once every 10 years, if that.
Wow.
So there is that element for me that I've always been fascinated about watches. But the other thing is, and this happened like when I was traveling, I was like studying Fard al-Ain. I was traveling through the Middle East. This is probably when I was in my 20s or so. There were a couple of shuyukh that I was studying with in Turkey, in Syria. And I noticed all of them they used to have like watches on. And one of the shuyukh was actually a watch repairer. He used to repair watches. And I remember him mentioning something about how important it is as Muslims to be not fixed, but to have time in the back of their mind. And, everything the part of our deen has always been about having a time for everything, which is again why we come back to the earlier point that we were talking about, linking it in, that if you don't have time assigned in your day, you've wasted an entire day. And then when you look back on your device, like it will tell you what you wasted it on. TikTok, Instagram stories, and you promise yourself that you're going to build a 6-figure business and this, that, the other, So like as Muslims, like time is crucial. It's paramount. It's important. And the other thing is like, and this is as a watch nerd, every time I look down at this, I mean, like, it's kind of like, it's a reminder, isn't it, that that's your life, like, ticking by.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's true.
I mean,
That's a very deep
and
thought.
yeah, it's like, it's one of those things. I mean, like, obviously I'm into watches as well, but you know, there, it goes beyond just, oh, a Rolex or whatever. I guess on face value, most people will look at it and they will say, oh, you know, flex or whatever. But the reality of it is that it's much more nuanced than that. There's an element of pure technology in there. There's a reminder about the importance of time. The other thing is the investment value of this. The iPhone, you know, will completely depreciate when it comes to value, but a wristwatch, a good luxury wristwatch, can actually increase with time. And we're seeing this nowadays where people are getting more into watches, you know, with social media, with Instagram, the rest of it. Yeah, I mean, watches are an incredible store of value. Not all watches, certain brands are, and you have to go into specifics and things like that. But, you know, some watches can be worth, you know, double of what you paid for them within a year to 2 years, which is insane, you know?
So why 2 watches then? Is it so that you can benefit from the tech of the Apple Watch? And then
I got 2 wrists in it, alhamdulillah, so.
You're just really into watches.
No, this one I use actually, I mean, like the watch face for this, the Apple Watch, is basically my steps. So I kind of like, I just, you know, want to make sure that I'm working out how many steps
I don't love the health thing on the Apple Watch.
I really like it. I think it's improved. It's improved, like for me. Fitbit.
The
Garmin.
I did a post a few months back for this watch, and they sent it to me to try out and stuff. And it was, to be fair, I'm not that much into watches, but I really enjoyed that watch. And it was
was it a mechanical watch?
Honor, the Honor watch.
Honor, okay, the Honor watch, yeah.
And they had a really good fitness, like their watch was based around fitness, I think, or the one they sent me was. And so their watch face for fitness was stunning. And then going from that to the Apple Watch was, you didn't get as much details with that one. And normally I said, I'm an Apple fanboy.
Yeah, I think, what watch are you running? Maybe it's the OS. Maybe you need to like charge it up and upgrade the OS.
I have the Apple Watch, I think Series 3 maybe.
I mean, look.
What are we on now? I mean, we're on like the Series 10.
This is the Apple series. This is the Apple Watch Series 6, man. So it's like Series 3 generations ahead. Yeah.
I might be on the Series 5, maybe, because I did get it quite recently. I got the Apple Watch. The recent Apple Watch that I have, I got as a Eid gift from my brother.
Okay.
And that was this past Eid.
MashaAllah.
But maybe he bought me the 3. Did they sell it at that time?
Possibly off eBay. You might want to have a word with him about that.
Yeah.
Nah, but I mean, look, it depends. I mean, I have, like, for me, I keep going back to the Apple Watch because, number one, for me, it's improved a great deal. I like that, you know, you can compete with other people as well, which at the moment I'm competing with someone from my work. So you can actually have a 7-day battle. Yeah, like, so it will, honestly, it's really cool because it will push you to, I've got 2 days left and it's neck and neck between me and this other person. And it's based on, you know, the exercise, based on the steps, based on your standing. So there is an element of that. There is like, you know, it's really improved. Cool. Yeah, it's cool. And also there's cool stuff because if you add people to your friends list, they will get a ping when it says, oh, Faisal has finished the workout. So it's kind of like, it's, you know.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
That's where I think tech works because it kind of puts pressure on you. It's healthy pressure in the sense like, oh, Faisal's done something cool. I better try and challenge him. I mean, add me, bro. Let's do a 7-day.
Yeah, let me find my charger. Let me find my charger. I'll add you. Do you know what I did recently? Because I have a dock. Okay, so because we're working, I'm at the studio right now, obviously, as you can tell. But at the studio, I had my dock and my desk set up, and then when I got my dock, I didn't realize that the AirPod Yeah, no, because my dock charges my phone wirelessly, and my AirPods wirelessly, but it doesn't charge. I thought the wireless charger for the AirPods would also charge the watch, but you need a separate dock.
No,
you need like a dock that has. So, but there are guys in the office who have the dock that handles the watch. So when I came into the office, I would often charge my watch on their docks, but now everyone's working from home, so I don't have the privilege of doing that. But I recently found my Apple Watch charger in my man drawer. You know, the other day I was cleaning my man drawer out. I thought it's time now. I have bills, HMRC letters, old driver's licenses, passports, pens. I have all sorts of things there. So I was like, let me clear this out. And when I was cleaning out, I believe I found my my Apple Watch charger. So I'll charge it up and I'll add you.
Yeah, you should do, man. It's good fun. It is good.
I want to see a ping that says that Emkwan just finished the workout.
Finish the workout, man. Yeah, and I'll get a ping. Faisal finally charged his Apple Watch.
Yeah, Apple Series Watch 1. When we were working there, it was really cool because they like we got an Apple Watches when we were there, and I remember back then the watch was very new, and so it would be really cool trying to sell a watch. And obviously, like being people, like you'd try and like, have a bit of competition. You'd want to sell the gold plated ones, wasn't it? And I'm pretty sure I sold one of them once, and I was really proud of myself.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah. Did you get like commission based on that? Was it?
Oh, bro, you don't get commission, of course not. No.
Oh, of course not. No.
You just get like.
Imagine if you did.
What I got is I was the top of the leaderboard in the whole of London. I could see that in sales.
Wow, that's good.
But that didn't really do anything for me. But it did it for me. Like I was like, oh, I have to be the best. So you know, I'd go to my manager. I'd be like, where am I on the leaderboard? Like, oh, you're here. And I'm like, all right. And they'd show you like the figures. And so I would like do my very best. It worked. I would like upsell like wherever I could. I'm like, oh, you know what? Like if you're gonna get the watch, you know, there might be a situation where you're going to a corporate event and you're wearing the sports band. You want to get a nice band. Like
you want to get a gold one. You want to get the gold one. So it's secure the deal.
If you're going to get the gold badge, you might as well get the gold watch as well. Actually, come think.
It's crazy because you know.
I was there once. Andrea, is that her name?
Yeah.
And she came in. She was the head of
the Apple Store thing.
She was the head of retail Burberry, and then she became the head of retail Apple. And when she became head of retail Apple, she came in and she was wearing the. Obviously, she was wearing the gold, like the top of the range one.
That's a flex.
Yeah, that is a flex. Obviously, she's walking in her own store.
It's crazy because I actually wanted to get a job with Apple years and years ago, and I got rejected. I think I had a YouTube. No, just working at the Apple Store. And
there's like 4 stages of interviews.
No, but I remember specifically. This is when Steve Jobs was alive, and I do remember I hadn't my YouTube channel. And then, I don't know, in the second stage or third stage, I think it was the second stage, I mentioned it. And then the guy who was at the time, like not a manager, but he was like quite senior in the Apple Store there. He was like, oh, bro, you shouldn't have done that, man.
What did you mention?
And I mentioned I have a tech YouTube channel, and you know.
Oh yeah.
And they
there's things I can't even say because they contract us to say things, to not say things, man. But yeah, that's not gonna go, man.
That's not gonna go. And I remember he said to me, he goes like, "You're all okay up until that point." He says, "Why the hell did you have to drop that?" And I think that I remember them. Somebody asked me. They said, "Oh, like you know, would you be prepared to like stop?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Well, okay, goodbye," that kind of thing.
Off air, I can tell you some stuff, man. Of nothing bad about them, but like, yeah, you if you're running a tech YouTube channel, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot there.
Yeah. But I mean, I work with Apple now, so this is the irony of the situation.
Oh, they're amazing company. Bro, even working there, like there were so many good things to say about even just working. And I was working retail, man. Like you're at the bottom of the pile there. You're not working corporate, but even then, so many like. amazing things, like the way their HR department is, like they really make it, they care about your personal life, and they care about your home life, and they go over and beyond for their employees, man. I think you can see that, like from just understanding them from a consumer perspective, but it really is. Like,
what I find fascinating is I work with a lot of brands, like a lot of tech brands, and whenever it comes to Apple, like, oh wallahi, it's like the most enjoyable experience, because other brands will like, there'll be like embargoes left, right, and center. They'll be like, you know, can we see the content before you put it? And normally I say no. I say, look, you know, you got to trust me on that. And they'll send you like, you know, USPs, please mention this, please mention that. All brands will do that. But when it comes to Apple, they will literally give you a bit of, you know, background on the product and then leave it to you. There's none of this, oh, can we have like lighting slightly different? When I'm happy with what you said there, it's never been like that. And I've been working with them quite closely for the last 3 years, 4 years perhaps, with all the new iPhones, iPads, Macs, whatever, you know. Alhamdulillah, it's one of the better companies to work with. Let's put it that way.
Well, listen, Emkwan, I think that you and I could talk all day, because we both clearly share the same interests, and I don't want to bore our listeners with my voice, although I'm sure they could listen to you forever. And if you guys do want to see more Emkwan, do check out his YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Emkwan Reviews.
Yeah. I used to have a vlog channel. There's still some content on there about, you know, moving to the UAE and just life before, but I focus solely on the reviews channel, and I think that's worked better.
Yeah, I used to enjoy your vlogs though, man. I used to enjoy them. And especially considering you're not, like you mentioned, it's not your like main gig, and you do it as a hobby. Don't base it on whether it gets seen or not. If you naturally want to stop, because I understand you've got a growing family, but I used to enjoy it. I remember really enjoying your vlog. So
I think we stopped because, and I guess this is, again, like when you have a family, there's a certain level that you start opening up a lot more. And yeah, my kids are grown up now. I can't hide their faces. They'll be like, yo, give me the camera, and I show my face, you know, hello daddy, you know, one of those things. So I stopped because, number one, YouTube's terms with kids is just, it's basically kills a channel now if you show kids. And then number two is that there was a privacy element. I mean, we used to have people like on the streets sort of stop us on, oh, hey, Emkwan, hey, Miss Bila, oh, we want to see Zayn, because we never showed his face, and, you know, the vlogs would document that. And that started getting weird, man. Like, people knew so much more about us than we did about the person standing in front of us, you know? Like what your favorite stuff was, what you last ate, you know? So, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's elements. And I do all that on Instagram now.
I do resonate with you on that. But the, with the like showing your kids thing, I obviously, as you probably know, haven't shown Zakaria's face on social media, but it's not. That's not to say that I will like not let. Like, I'm happy for him to eventually be able to make that decision or whatever. But why? It's just why, because the thing is, you don't know. When you put something out there, you're putting it out there for everybody, right? Not just for people who want to show love. And so what I do to caveat that though, and this is my point, is when Zakaria was born, around a month or two later, I went on the tour. And then when we did the tour, anybody who came up to me and was like, oh, I love Freshly Grounded, I listen to Freshly Grounded, because the tour was for Iman channel, so it wasn't for Freshly Grounded. And I was hosting it, and so when people were coming and saying that they listen to Freshly Grounded, and they would ask about Zakaria, I would always open my phone, I'd show them, I'd just say, do you want to see him? They'd be like, yeah. And I'd show so many pictures, and even now to this day, if anybody ever, like, I see them physically and they were to say that they like Freshly Grounded, or that they've been like following our journey, I always show, because that's a person who's invested themselves into our product, and they love what we do, and there's no harm in that. It's just that when you put it out for the world, you just don't know whose eyes are on it, and it's it's a scary thing as a parent.
Look, as a Muslim and as an ex-family, let's say, vlogger, wallahi, man, like, I see so many people on Instagram, Facebook, you know, oh my God, bro, on YouTube, like, young children, just exposing them to the world. And part of the stuff that I do outside of social media, there's an element of, let's say, internet security, and there's a certain element that delves with certain touchy subjects. Wallahi, man, you don't want to take that risk. I'm shocked at some of the big individuals, particularly from a Muslim background, that seem to think there's no harm in them showing these masoom, because they are kids who are innocent up to a certain point, on social media. Like, honestly, do not do that. Do not do that. And I will say that, like, emphatically, that's a risk you don't need. Forget about like the pedos and the pervs out there. Like, we believe in ayn, we believe in, envy, we believe in hasad. Like, there are people who will watch your stuff, but the moment they see happiness in your life, and when it involves innocent, children, like, the hasad is just peak, man. I think, again, this is perhaps something that I'm shocked every time I see people, like, brand new child is born and it's plastered all over Instagram. It's all over like Facebook, all over YouTube. And I'm like, sometimes I will like privately message them. I say, look, you've been following me for a while. Don't do it for your own good. Like, give it a bit of time. Give those children a bit of say in the situation. Like, why do you need, like, I'm all for sharing pictures with family and stuff. I've got no issues with that. But in the public scene, man, like, you just don't know who's watching.
I suppose it seems like you're more strong in that because of the job. You're kind of mentioning that kind of like the job that you're involved in, kind of outside of YouTube, and so that's fair enough. You seem to have more knowledge on it. For me, I think I take a different approach. I think that I think that I definitely agree with the hasad and the ayn thing, and like I said, I don't show my own child, but I definitely. I don't have any, I don't seem to, I don't feel like negatively if somebody does that, because I feel like it's, I don't see it as that deep of an issue. I don't know. I just don't for some reason.
Okay. So, I mean, ultimately it's up to the person. Like, I would never, I would never stop. Like, if somebody's doing that, maybe I might slide in the DMs and say, look, this is just a bit of friendly advice. Like, I'm not going to make a deal. But the other thing that I noticed, right? The other thing that I noticed, and this is for me personally, but also for other people that have stopped, and without naming names, but like, one of the things that always surprised me was there were occasions when I would show certain things on my vlogs that were kind of to do with my child, but not showing his face directly. And as soon as that vlog would go up, like, just freaky stuff would start happening, man. Like, child falls and hurts himself. Or, there's like some weird vibe. Like, there'll be that kind of like a tantrum that's really unusual and stuff like that. And I remember talking to a few people and like, they're like, bro, like, well, how does it benefit you to add 2 and 2 together, So I mean, like, again,
felt like that about gym. Like, they've like started going gym and made a transformation, and they've showcased the transformation because they're proud of it. And then all of a sudden, like, they just like something in them just that doesn't allow them to go to the gym. They're eating more, and all of a sudden they go out of shape. Like, after like taking so long to transform. So yeah, I definitely hear where you're coming from, bro. And there's definitely basis to it. But listen, bro, I want to say massive thank you. You gave us your time, and like I said, I wanted for so long to do an episode with you, and you've always shown so much love and support both to myself and to Freshly Ground, and it means the world. And I pray and hope that we can meet in person soon, and perhaps even I'd love for you to one day perhaps even join us on a live event, when live events are even a thing that are possible again. But thank you so much.
Next time I'm in the UK, man, I will definitely do that. And if you're down here ever in Abu Dhabi, man, just bell me up. You've got my number now. So I'll just exercise
a bit, and then you get pinged like Faisal in 3 miles away. Just Faisal's exercising outside your house.
I will. For having me as well, man. Carry on the good work, and it's awesome, man. It's great to support you guys as well. Allah bless you so much more, man, inshallah.
I mean, and you. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. And thank you guys so much for watching episode 216 of Freshly Guided, and we'll see you again next week. Assalamu alaikum.